Yo, welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today we're going to be going over a step-by-step process on how you can set up your front suspension for free, and we're going to dive into a super easy step-by-step process to make it super easy for you to set up your front suspension. So this will dramatically improve your front suspension performance. The front end will feel super solid when you ride. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Quick story time. So I was actually on YouTube, scrolling YouTube, and I saw one of my favorite, by far favorite, moto vloggers, moto creators, whatever you want to call it. He's a pro national rider. He's a professional motocross rider. I take a lot of his tips and use them for me. And I saw his suspension setup video, which I will link in the description below. Full credits to Jeff Walker. Super great guy. I love watching his stuff, and he's super cool. But I was like, you know what? I could probably do this to my bike. So I went in and did his full front end thing, and I thought it was super sick. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to see what I think about it. So thank you, Jeff, for making a video like that to inform us. I'm just kind of doing what you said with this video and just sending it out to my people to see what they think. So thank you, Jeff.
All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move the bottom pinch bolt on the second row of the triple clamp. We're going to remove it, clean it, and then we're going to reinstall it.
Go.
Now the next thing I like to do is I like to clean my bolts and make sure they're in tip-top shape. I examine them, make sure everything's okay, so I run it through the Scotch-Brite pad. As you can see, I put the bolt on the actual impact and just kind of spin it through there and get it nice and clean. Now I bought these little Scotch-Brite pads from Walmart for like $1.24. Nothing too crazy. You get them in like a 6-pack, and dude, they're super great for cleaning bikes. They do just as good as just a normal Scotch-Brite pad you can find at your local like Home Depot. But yeah, I love using these things, and they're just great to have on hand. Now I didn't get into the video, but you do install these lower pinch bolts fully in, and then you're free to remove every other pinch bolt. Now I'm going to go through and clean all the bolts, make sure they're completely clean, inspect them. If anything's wrong with them, I'll replace them. But in this event, nothing was wrong with them. So I went ahead and powered forward, and we reinstalled the bolts. Now this front axle is really hard to get out, and the goal is for next time that it's not that hard to get out. So it took me quite a bit to get it banged out of there, but other than that it was super easy. But now we're going to clean this front axle, and we're going to, like Jeff said in his video, we're going to clean this point that goes in where the fork seats and where the axle seats. We're going to get this nice, smooth, and polished. I run it over the Scotch-Brite, and then I run it over with some Never Dull polish. Now in Jeff's video it did say that he used the Mother's Mag polish. I like this Never Dull polish. It's kerosene based, so it really gets that top coat off and really shines it up and makes it super smooth. But it's all personal preference. I just found Never Dull to be super easy. Now I don't have any anti-seize, but I do use Lucas Oil white lithium grease, as you can see here. I'm putting these on the bolts and to keep them from rusting and making it easier for them to come out next time. So the Lucas Oil white lithium grease is highly recommend. Now I'm just running the Scotch-Brite and the Never Dull like I did, just the same thing on the axle, and we're going to clean that out, and then we're going to be good to go to reinstall our front wheel. Now Jeff did say in his video that it should slide freely with no friction at all. Now I'm just going through and reinstalling the bolts that I cleaned on the triple clamps, not tightening them up or anything, nothing crazy, just reinstalling them. And then next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the handlebars off because I have to loosen the steering stem nut, and so I can tighten my steering stem down to make sure it's all perfectly intact, just like Jeff's video said. Alright, after we got all that done, now I'm going to go through and actually, as you see, I kind of sped it up and put it into time lapse, but I'm going through and realigning my forks to make sure they're at the perfect height, because if they're not, they will actually make a bind in the axle at the bottom. So if they're correctly aligned, you will see at the bottom that the axle goes freely through. Alright, so after you got your tire installed, we got the axle through and everything went through very easily. I was very pleased with how well aligned I got it, so we got that done. Now we're going to move into actually checking our alignment. So I actually messed up on this. I actually did very much so messed up, and I tightened up both of them, and I actually needed to loosen one because I actually needed to turn the axle. So you'll actually see that when I turn the axle, you'll see that it'll naturally bring the axle more in to where it should be, and that's a perfect sign that you know it's perfectly aligned. So you'll see me do that where I'll go to turn the axle and it'll seat itself right in, and I zoomed in on that so you can see it. So that's how we know that it's perfectly aligned. Also, another key point that you should make sure you do is that you loosen the non-disc brake side, and if you loosen that way it can slide freely through there and the axle can actually turn. And you also need to loosen the side on the axle side too, because I was like, oh well crap, I missed that part. So yeah, make sure you loosen both sides and you'll be good to go. Next thing I'm doing is I'm actually going through and getting the bottom row of the triple clamps torque in spec, so that way they're good to go, and the only thing I have to do left is the top ones. But first I have to tighten the steering stem nut, so we're going to get these torqued down first and then we'll move on to the steering stem. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tighten the steering stem. Now, Jeff in his video, he said that it's the poor man's way of a steering stabilizer. So, yeah, this is on personal preference. So if you're on a Japan bike, there's going to be a nut under that you actually have to tighten. So you loosen the top nut and then you tighten the bottom one. I use a flat blade screwdriver. I don't have a punch, but anything works, and it's super simple. But like I said, it's personal preference. I like to have a little bit of resistance on my bars. Some people like for them to fly all over the place, but that's just not me. So yeah. Alright, so we got those bars thrown back on. I like to torque the bolts down to like 15 newton meters, nothing crazy. But yeah, so we torque those down, and then now we're going to put everything back together, put the bar pad on, and then we're going to finally torque the top of the triple clamp. Alright, so I did the bottom of the triple clamp at 13. I'm going to do the top at 15. It's what my spec is, something around there. And so I'm going to do that, and then it's super tricky with the top because you tighten one, other one get looser, so it's just, I go back and forth, so that's why I sped it up. But yeah, super easy. I use my torque wrench from Harbor Freight and it gets the job done. So yeah, but that was super easy, and I think it'll work well.
And that's a wrap. I hope you found this video informative and helpful in improving your front suspension on your dirt bike. Now remember, this setup doesn't cost a penny if you just have a few tools. Thank you, Jeff Walker, for making a video to inform me, and I can inform my viewers on my experience with this. If you have any experiences or things you'd like to critique, drop a comment below, and I will be more than happy to reply to it. So thank you guys for watching. Remember to keep exploring and riding and just have fun. And that's it. And until next time, remember there's a purpose in life every single day, and keep grinding, guys. I'm out.